Good morning, folks. Welcome to today's final front load, another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. We're going back to that horrible world known as the JRC, but before a general rant. This is what happens when you make the mistake of looking at your TL between videos. So I need you all to explain something to my autistic hindquarters. Will be nice. Like I'm 5. Why is this whole thing? Granted, it was brought by an AH stand, but they're hardly the only ones that do it. This whole thing of you're just upset because you're not this person, this celebrity. Have y'all seen Celebrity Life? As a disabled person, especially when you're in the service system, your life is under a microscope. If you're a famous person, guess what? Your life is under a microscope. There is a camera on you from the moment you step outside your door. Okay? In their own way, they kind of have to suffer some of the same crap that we do. People feel like they're entitled to make comments or even make decisions on complete strangers' lives. Having polls on whether they should date this person, that person, date at all. It's nuts, people. I'm not jealous of that. Granted, I have scrutiny over my life. It's true. I'm neurodiverse. I have a developmental disability. There is a microscope on me every second of my day. The difference between my microscope and theirs is mine's not blasted all over the media and social media for the world to see. Why would I be jealous of that? I don't like the level of scrutiny I'm already under. Being semi-well known for the things that I do, I already have to deal with fanboys. You've heard my stories, okay? I already have to deal with that on some level, but to the level that they do, and I'm supposed to be jealous of this person? And more often than not, they do it as some kind of weird defense of an individual that they support. No matter how insane their support of said individual, which happens to be a liar and a massive ableist, very self-centered, self-serving, lying, abusive piece of ableist garbage who's aging like the rest of us. Nah, I'm not jealous of any celebrity. Not even those that are considered the apple of Hollywood's eye. I may not make millions of dollars. I may not be able to take fantastic trips to Cancun or the tropics or go to Japan because I have a craving of real ramen at the drop of the hat. Do you know what I do have? I have the freedom of being inside my apartment with the window open without having to worry that there's someone out there with a camera trying to catch me in an intimate moment. I don't have to worry about going outside my door and not just having my disability scrutinized, but what I'm wearing, how I smell. That every single word coming out of my mouth is going to find its way onto social media and the media at large. People following me everywhere that I go. Well, I should say worse than they already do, in large numbers. Having people bust into tears because I enter into a room What's to be jealous of there, folks? This isn't glamorous, true. I don't get to wear $1 billion designer clothing or do all the things that I've mentioned. But you know what I get to do? I get to have a life without a camera 6 inches up my hindquarters. I get to go and have private moments with family, go out with my mother to a theme park without having a camera there with somebody shouting inappropriate questions at me every 5 minutes. Even those who so called have it good, you see where I'm going with this, don't you? Sure, the highlight of my summer may be going off to Silver Dollar City, which I love dearly and probably always will. Getting out there and going out to Osage Beach, you know, doing my disability rights events. Sure, that might not be glamorous to you people who are worshiping at the throne of AH or whatever celebrity you're obsessed with at the moment. But there's a high price to fame. And if you can't see that, you're blind. Okay? There's a price to even a small amount of fame, which I've lived, still live. You all feel that you're entitled to every single moment of the celebrity that you're obsessed with life and feel like you have the right because you support their movies and pay for their merch to have a say in their private lives. Could you imagine trying to live that life? Yeah. I'm not jealous of AH. For one, I'm actually employed. I make my own money. I don't have to live off a more famous man. I don't have to lie and make stuff up to keep myself relevant. What's to be jealous of? No. Been comfortable in my skin a very long time at this point. It's like dealing with staff when you're in the service system who constantly try to force upon you what their meaning of a meaningful life looks like. It's different to every person. But this obsession with celebrity culture to the point that you are declaring that one person whom you've never met, never spoke with, know nothing about is just jealous because their mother. No, honey. No, I'm actually not. My life may be extremely difficult, as it is for most call center jockeys. But at least it's not my difficulties that I go through are not blown out worldwide. I don't have a moment when I misspeak in anger held over my head like the sword of Damocles to destroy the entirety of my career. See where I'm going with this? I don't understand celebrity worship. I don't understand attacking people randomly online on social media who don't agree with you by just simply tell us, well, you're jealous of said celebrity as though you know us. You don't. I'm another random person on social media who you do not know. The people who do know are usually individuals who, in one way or another, are attached to the neurodiverse community that I've been a part of for over 14 years. Okay? I never got it. No, I probably never will. Maybe it's because I'm too seated in reality. And as I've always said, I'm a people watcher. Granted, I don't chase after celebrity culture. The few clips that I catch of their lives is when it randomly flashes before I change the channel. But I can tell you, it doesn't look like they're having a great time. Okay? It's like smile and dial only accepts. Smile and nod graciously that your privacy is being invaded. Alright, to the disclaimers, shall we? In the description box, you're going to find a link to the article that the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center doesn't want you to read. It's written by NeuroClastic, a small non-for-profit started by autistics for autistics, wherein they interviewed and surveyed over 900 ABA professionals in regards to the JRC's so-called behavior modification program. Matter of fact, the JRC doesn't want you to read this article so much, they have threatened NeuroClastic with a defamation lawsuit if they did not remove it from the website. Sorry, folks, allergies. So, folks, you do know the drill. Please read that article, share it on all your social media. We also have linked in there NeuroClastic's public statement in regards to the defamation lawsuit threat, as well as a link to their GoFundMe, folks, because we are crowdfunding in case the JRC has the balls to see through with their little threat. Also included in there, the Ozarks First article in regards to the Stone for Help / formerly Agape boarding school situation. This is a so-called Christian-themed boarding school based out of Stockton, Missouri that takes in so-called troubled male teens that has impending, folks, over 21 civil lawsuits, claims, and allegations leveled against it, all which have been substantiated by the Missouri Department of Social Services, and they include the following: sodomy, rape, sexual assault, child abuse, psychological and emotional abuse, child trafficking, starvation, and that's just for starters. You have one former staff member arrested by the FBI, another, a doctor still on the premises, full access to the boys up on multiple, again, substantiated claims of sodomy, rape, and sexual assault of the boys there. You have an attorney general too busy chasing after drag queens to actually do his job, and you've got a governor. I don't even know what to say about our governor right now. Just send help. He isn't well. Share that article on all your social media. We also have the always present pertinent links to the Stop the Shocks campaign as well, including Autistic Hoya's massive archive on the subject, Jennifer Masumba's behavioral sheet of shockable offenses, a clip out of the 7-hour ordeal undergone by Andre McCollins back in 2002, the templates, and the other present self-explanatory change.org shut the Judge Rotenberg Center down petition. When we discuss the JRC, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips of surveillance footage of peoples with disabilities being tortured and abused. If you do have young children present, folks, very much parental supervision is advised. You got young ones, use your headphones, all right? All right. Trigger warning, we are about to descend into the mad ravings of the lunatic mind known as Dr. Matthew Israel. You're going to hear gaslighting, victim blaming, lies, pseudoscience, abuse and torture apologencia, all coming from a man with a massive ego and an even larger God complex. So folks, you know what to do. Pause this video, get your calming tea, because the stupid burns and we're getting ready to deal with a lot of it. Stupidity hurts people. Alright, so where we left off in the last video. If students are non-compliant or aggressive, 4 or 5 staff will wrestle the kid to the floor and strap them to a board face down and shock them. They could be like that for 12 hours or more until they complied. Students are not kept on a restraint board for 12 hours. This is another anonymous, unsupported accusation. DDS regulations require that an observer who is not a part of the restraining staff must be present at every restraint procedure. Ensure the restraint procedure is carried out safely, correctly, and according to DDS regulations. Intrusive restraint is common in other programs, but JRC's Safe and Effective Treatment Program eliminates such need for restraint. All JRC's use of restraint is conducted in compliance with state regulations and treatment plans approved by a court on an individual basis. That's a lie, doctor. A very provable one, matter of fact. You do indeed do these things. You want to know how we know? Let's start with Andre McCollins, shall we? Granted, it's not 12 hours. It's 7. Where you shocked him for over 31 times for the initial sin of refusing to remove his coat. And then when his muscle tense, you considered that, well, that's an early sign of aggression. So we're going to shock him for the muscles tensing. And then when they scream because they're in pain, well, that's also obviously aggression. So we're going to continue to shock them while they scream and beg you to stop. We have the videos, Karen. We literally have the videos. Okay? This is not another example of an accusation that isn't true, doctor. It's very true. We have video surveillance, doctor. This is another episode of Dr. Israel telling us, who are you going to believe, me or your lying eyes? Right? Right? Dude. It is a very supported accusation. Because there's tape. Oh, and to double that off, there is also ER documents. You know, from doctors who work in a field that you have no business trying to comment on. It's not some lie that we made up. It's not some anonymous tipper that we made up because we want to just hurt Dr. Matthew Israel. Dude, you are on my shit list, but it's because you put yourself there. You do all these insane things. You torture us. You brutalize us. You treat us as less than animals. And then you play victim? Sounds like some other well-known case. Sounds like another person, doesn't it? I believe her name is H. Granted, in the realm of arrogance, she's kind of an amateur compared to Dr. Matthew Israel, who has had probably decades more time and training in being an asshat. A lying one. But you see the comparison, don't you? Surely you do. You can't bald-face lie when we've got videotape, doctor. We literally got you on camera approving of this exact thing that the person with the accusation brought up. And I've noticed your little narcissist mask slips. It slips every time it's an anonymous person. Because you want to know who it is. You want to know who they are so that you can find them and destroy them, discredit them in any way they can, whether it's intimidation, threatening to sue their families into the Stone Age, threaten them with throwing them back into your hellhole. Whistleblower laws exist for a reason, Dr. Israel. If we receive a source that wishes to remain anonymous for their own safety, we're not going to reveal them to you because you sit there and stomp your foot and demand like a toddler. Especially when we know what type of intimidation tactics that you use for the individuals who are still trapped in your school. Okay? Facts are videotape. Not just of Andre McCollins, but of the other incident. You remember the one that made you step down from JRC when you tried to force your staff to destroy surveillance footage that was ordered by a judge in the case where the two kids were shocked over 71 times on that 4-point board, face down, exactly as what's being described here. Yeah. What's that saying, folks? You cannot lie when we have the receipts. You can't make up history as you go, Doctor, because your history has a lot of receipts to it. In fact, that is one of the reasons that Autistic Hoya put her massive archive together so you could see all the receipts gathered in one place. And this continuing hammering when it comes to the Massachusetts courts, and but a judge says so. I repeat again something I have said previously. Doctor, judges didn't go to medical school. They went to law school. Which means when they make decisions about so-called safety of the student, they may not necessarily know 100% what's going on, especially since I know with civil courts and courts like this, those judges are overwhelmed. You still got judges right now with backlog cases from 2020 when the world shut down, okay? Do I honestly think that that judge is going to have the time to leave their job for a day and do the proper sort of investigative regulative visit to the JRC that needs to happen? No. They're going to take your word for it because you're supposed to be the professional. But you're not. In fact, you had licenses ripped from you. Didn't you, Doctor? Technically speaking, you should have never had any right to run a school like this the moment your licenses got yanked from you. Nor should anybody have ever entrusted you with their kids after the deaths that you and your incompetent, undertrained staff have caused. Just because something is approved by the court does not mean that it is safe and good for the individual. Matter of fact, this is why we have this thing called an appeals process. And I raise you again to everyone, including the AH stands who drift by accident probably. Salem witch trials, anyone? A court once determined that hanging suspected witches was safe and in the best interests of the state. How's that going? We're going to close on that. We don't get very many views on this channel. The few that we do tend to get removed from time to time. So please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe, and don't forget to hit those comments. I do appreciate your time. As always, we here at Spilling Tea do hope you have a good one. I will see you all on the weekend. Bye bye.